Good morning. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I did my top 5 albums of 2018, so I thought to go along with every other YouTuber who posts any videos that are even slightly related to music at all, I should also make a top something tracks of 2018. So this is going to be my top 10 tracks of 2018. I always hate having to compile lists for this sort of video because I feel like whatever I do, no matter how much time I put into it or how well I research it, I'm always going to forget about a couple of songs that I really wish should be included, and then there are always a couple of songs that I do include that after a couple of months I'm like, oh, was that really one of the best tracks of 2018? Probably not. So yeah, take everything I say with a pinch of salt, and as is always the case with my videos like this, I'm not saying that these are the 10 tracks that I feel are the most artistically profound or politically interesting or anything like that. These are just the 10 songs that I've probably listened to more in 2018 than any other songs, and the ones that I've sort of enjoyed the most. Oh, and just before I start, if you want to vote on what color you think my record should be, there is a poll linked below, so go and vote there. It looks like it's between blue and cream at the moment. Blue is winning by a pretty decent amount at the moment, but you know, it's all up to you. So if you want to vote on what color it's going to be, then go ahead. There are also links to my Instagram and Twitter, but I probably wouldn't bother with Twitter because I never use it because I pretty much hate Twitter. So let's get into the list. These are in no particular order, and track 1 on my top 10 tracks of 2018 is by Post Malone and is called Ball For Me featuring Nicki Minaj. Might seem like an odd choice to some considering the music that I talk about most frequently on this channel, but I love Post Malone. I don't actually like Better Now. I know that whenever that song comes on and I'm in a public place, I have a sort of bit of a sigh, you know those introspective sighs where you're like, oh, yeah, I just think it's not that great. But Ball For Me, I think, is awesome. Such a silky, squelchy synth, amazing vocal production, and I love all of the little embellishments that you hear throughout the track. And when the drums come in with that flowing vocal line, it really makes you want to sort of bob your head along to it like a moron. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Nicki Minaj, but I do really like the work that she's done on this track. I just think it all fits together so well, and it's just such a cool song, you know, it's just like, I just love it. Track number 2 is unsurprisingly by the 1975, and it's called It's Not Living If It's Not With You. Now, I just flat out love this song. It's probably my favorite song off their new record, with close second and third place going to Love It If We Made It and How to Draw. When I say How to Draw, I mean the second half of How to Draw, but I can't be bothered to work out how to pronounce that word correctly. So yeah, that bit, the nice, cool, edgy, vocal, stuttery bit at the end of that, I just love. It's just an amazing song. It's so catchy. It's so well written. The production is fantastic. The lyrical content is brilliant. I love the fact that it's tackling a really dark, really like grim subject matter, but doing it with the backdrop of this like super catchy, fun 80s pop song. It's just such a good song, although I will say one thing about it, which might disappoint some of you, depending on how you view it. I'm not sure. I'm unsure how I feel about this. If you really, really like the song, listen to the first verse of it, and then listen to a song called I Told Her on Alderaan by Neon Neon. Pay close attention to how the lead melody of both songs seem to fit so perfectly well together. Track 3 on this list is by Jon Hopkins and is called Emerald Rush. I've mentioned the track before, but I just love it so much. Jon Hopkins smashed his way back into my heart with his latest album Singularity, for which this song was the lead single. It encapsulates everything I love about Jon Hopkins' music. Incredible production and mixing techniques combined with these aggressive and glitchy percussive and synth elements, and then like the gravy on top of the shepherd's pie that is Jon Hopkins' incredible musical ability are these super silky, smooth, atmospheric soundscapes that kind of just glue everything together, and it's just wonderful. The 4th track on this list is by a band called Influencers and is called I'm Yours. Now, this is a bit of a weird one, and a slight plug to my very, very close friend David, who I lived with last year, and he happened to be mixing this track as well as all of Influencers' current stuff. So it's possible that I got so used to him testing his mixes on my record player's speakers in the flat last year that it kind of subconsciously worked its way into my head, but I love this track. It's just a super catchy, fun, you know, bouncy song. It's got these really, really cool production techniques, all of these synths that are kind of going around everywhere. And while Influencers are like a Christian band and it's a Christian song, I like the fact that the lyrics aren't just super in your face, you know, this is what this song's about. It means that more people can enjoy it if you maybe don't share the faith of Christianity, you know, and it's just a really, really cool song. I just love it. The 5th track in this list is by none other than Ólafur Arnalds and is called Partial. Now, to really appreciate this track, I do feel like it has to have been listened to in conjunction with the previous track on this album called Ypsilon. The two just flow really well into each other, and it's a lovely sense of progression, but it can be listened to as a standalone track, and it just exemplifies all of the things that I love about Ólafur Arnalds' music. And if you watched my video a couple of weeks ago, this album, Remember, was one of basically my top albums of 2018. The synth that kind of acts as the backbone of the track, that's constantly moving and morphing with these gorgeous delays and feedback modulation, just works so well. And then over the top of that, it's kind of built upon with Ólafur's outstanding ability to arrange strings and create these flowing melodies that kind of break your heart and make you feel happy all at the same time. Partial by Ólafur Arnalds is a work of exquisite beauty. The 6th track on this list is by Benjamin Francis Leftwich and is called 4 AM in London. Now, this is the opening track from his most recent EP, I Am With You, which was one of my choices for the top 5 albums of the year, and every time I listen to it, I find something new to appreciate. It's just got such an interesting vibe and atmosphere to it. You've got this kind of hip-hop inspired production juxtaposed with Benjamin Francis Leftwich's like really breathy and silky distinctive voice. The build up and change of melody every time he sings the line, "You make me completely alive," just like gets me every time. Wonderful, wonderful stuff, and I can't wait to see him live this April in Cardiff. Next track on this list is by an artist that if you're familiar with Ólafur Arnalds, you will be with this man as well. It's by Nils Frahm and it's called Number 2. Now, it was so hard for me to choose just one track from Nils Fram's latest fantastic album, but I think Number 2 just does the most for me. I love that plucky, fast attack, evolving synth sound that's very similar to the one that I love in Partial by Ólafur Arnalds. And when the beat first came in, it wasn't doing exactly what I was expecting it to, but I loved that. And in general, I love soundscapes. I love music that I can just sort of float off into a trance when I'm listening to it, that will just sort of envelop me mentally in its sounds and its atmospheres, and this track, Number 2 by Nils Frahm, just does it so, so well. Next, track 8 on this list is by The Midnight and it's called America 2. There's really not that much to say about The Midnight, you know. I love them, you love them, everyone loves them, they're great, end of story. And America 2 works on so many levels for them. And I can remember when that album came out earlier this year, that was the song that I just kept returning to and listening to over and over and over again. And it's one of those songs that when you're listening to it and it's late at night and dark and you're just kind of walking through town by yourself, it just makes you feel like you're the lead actor in some really edgy, iconic, soon-to-be revered 80s romantic drama film, you know? Like, when I listen to that song, I feel like John Cusack. Now, track number 9 on this list is by a band called Pale Waves and is called Television Romance. And I fucking hate that I have to include this song on here, but I felt like I needed to be honest. I mean, I said that these weren't songs I felt were important, they were just tracks that I listened to the most. And while on some level I hate this shallow, unoriginal, Tumblr-inspired 1975 cover band that's masterminded by Matt Healy, I just think the music is really fun. Feel free to call me a hypocrite, I don't really care. I just find their music fun, and I hate that I find it fun because it's so bland and vanilla. It's like the kind of music that I can imagine would be made if teams and teams of market researchers on record labels just congregated together and put all of their best work into working out exactly what would be the most profitable music to possibly make for them given the current climate. And this is what they came up with, and it's just worked because I think it's really fun. Like, I don't think it's good, I just think it's really fun and I listen to it all the time. But doesn't that kind of make it good? I suppose. Music's subjective, I don't care. If you like Pale Waves, that's great. If you hate Pale Waves, that's great, I don't care. I can remember one of the few times that I actually tweeted a while ago, I basically just slagged off Pale Waves. It's because I'd heard all this hype around them and I listened to their first album from start to finish and I was just like, what the hell is this absolute garbage? It was like so superficial and trying to be edgy and cool. It was just the lyrics more than anything else, I think. There was just no substance to them, but you don't have to have substance to something for it to just be really fun and for you to get a bit of a buzz off listening to it, you know? So who the cares? Yeah, Television Romance by Pale Waves. There are a couple of other tracks on that album that I do turn to occasionally. I don't listen to the whole album all at once because I literally feel like I can't take in that much shit all at the same time. I think I would get irritated by Pale Waves slightly less if they weren't peddling this superficial, super edgy, like, oh, we're basically the Cure aesthetic. Do you know what I mean? Like, they make very good pop music, or like their label makes them very good pop music, and that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that, it's good pop music. It's just that their aesthetic suggests something completely different to their music. And like Muna, if you've heard of them, that's a band that I feel have earned the right to have like an edgy aesthetic to them. I think Pale Waves should I don't know, just calm down on the gothic aesthetic. Like, you're not the Cure. Sorry, I really didn't mean to go off on such a ridiculous rant then, but anyway, yeah. So Pale Waves Television Romance is my 9th choice on my top 10 tracks of 2018. And finally, to round this list off, let's get back to a bands that have some real integrity behind them. Death Cab for Cutie, 60 in Punk, the closer from their most recent release, Thank You For Today. And it's just such a good song on so many levels. It's a good song from the perspective of it being Death Cab for Cutie. It fits in nicely with their sounds and what they've developed over like probably decades now of writing music. And it's a good song in general. Like, even if you've never listened to them before, it works really well. It's their classic slow, depressing closer to finish an album. The lyrics are honest, they're original, and clearly come from the heart. The production is fantastic, the kind of warbly piano that makes it sound almost playful but quite sinister at the same time, which is really appropriate given the subject matter of the lyrics. It's just a wonderful song with Ben Gibbard crooning over the top. It's a fantastic song from a fantastic album. So there you go, that's the final track in my top 10 tracks of 2018. Death Cab for Cutie, 60 in Punk. So yeah, that's the list, but enough about what I think. What do you think? What are your favorite tracks of 2018? You know, if you have a top 10, I'd love to know them. And maybe you agree with a lot of my choices, or maybe you think that loads of my choices are really bad, because it's likely that in a couple of months I'll look back on this list and be like, oh, why did I include Pale Waves in this list? I think that already, but I've already filmed it, so I can't take it out now. But yeah, I would love to know what songs you've been listening to recently, what songs you've enjoyed in 2018, and just like recommend me some music so that I can listen to more and make even better lists next year. As always, there'll be a link in the description to the Spotify playlist with all of the tracks that I've mentioned in this video. Just before I sign off, quick update for those of you who are interested in the Her vinyl pressing. I will be putting an official update on the Kickstarter page soon about this, but firstly, the surveys will be being sent out over the next couple of days. So if you pledged, make sure you check your emails and fill in the survey, because I'll obviously need your postage details to send you the record. The records will be going on sale after the Kickstarter pledges have all been sent out. I'm going to set up like a little shop for myself and my, you know, hashtag merch. So you'll be able to pre-order the records before they're delivered to me, and then when they're delivered to me, they'll be available there for anyone to purchase. And I'm still absolutely blown away by the amazing support that you have given me in this like project of mine. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, honestly. And I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments there. Have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you very soon.